When you are an empowered woman or man or they, you know that it's okay to be misunderstood because you do know you are worthy. So that means you have healthy self-worth. You know how to love yourself first. If that is not the case, you can learn by doing personal development or good therapy if your child needs reparenting so that you can know what healthy boundaries are. So setting healthy boundaries are not about the claiming of power and knowing that value that people flaunt and project in each other's faces. In fact, with our gender stereotypes, we have an issue. And I've seen it since I was pretty much in college years for sure, because I learned about gender stereotypes and how they divide us, and a lot more in my sociology class. You deserve to be seen, let yourself be known. So confusion is a type of protection for childhood trauma survivors. And thank you, Patrick Tian, for all that you do for childhood trauma survivors. If you get good therapy, you reparent yourself, you stop actually not knowing why it's so hard for you to be with a healthy self-worth partner with a securely attached nervous system. Okay, I know also about your default mode network because I'm attachment trauma informed in depth and I keep learning. And the part about boundaries is that if you don't have a restorative embodiment, you're going to have a ding, 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 a little bell that is dysfunctional, dysregulated. So your default mode network, unlike mine, is scanning self, yourself, and the others, and you're in a safety behavior. It's called a maladaptive child behavior, and it's called a dysfunctional, dysregulated nervous system. And if you have attachment wounds, well then, it's not about the avoidant keeping exes on standby or the, avoidant dismissive, avoidant fearful. And those are the styles, because we also have preoccupied, but we also have categories. But furthermore, some people like to point fingers and talk about the narcissist or the sociopath or the psychopath. And those are all people who need support, not people creating categories and telling you how to handle them, because they can actually work with a good therapist, all of them. Okay, so there's good therapists. I learn from them. And no person, no self is stuck in stone. And if there's a challenge to move into integration of the brain, which is your inner and outer well-being, then they will know how to support that. But what studies have shown, by the way, and I don't know which ones, I need to ask the experts because I'm not the expert, but the studies that have recently been shown is one default mode network can be I forget what it's called. There's a word they used about how they can help, well, it's not the left and right mode, but how they can help a person to have their default mode network engage in a safety relationship versus when they're always seeking to get into trouble. For example, kids, it was the sentence that was being used. Again, I'm pseudoscience woo lady because I don't remember always everything, but also because some people don't believe in mystics, and that's okay. The science is. I'd rather them continue their research and educate us than become flat earthers. Pull yourself close. Every part of your being is deserving of love. You can do hard things. It is not as impossible as it may feel. For people who don't get good therapy, feelings are hard, and so are secure attached relationship, because they are used to being in a dysregulated nervous system when in a relationship. You and I, the first year of life, our attachment system learns what relationships are, if you will, but really what they say is we learn how to have that relationship. So I'm secure to be myself, while attachment wounded people are not. There's heartbreak, gut wrench, there's a shame cycle, there's a defectiveness. And so there's a maladaptive way of self-soothing that begins until the person takes their own self seriously. And what I've seen is people end up saying, I don't want to journal. I don't want to meditate. Why would I do that? We're all fucked up. Nobody's fucked up. But having any of the attachment wounds and the trauma charges, they don't have to define anyone. In fact, the good mental health professionals, again, teach me all about how it's helpful to go to therapy, journaling, mindfulness, because it actually works the 3 pillars of the mind. So they're also creating secular mindfulness for the closed-minded people who don't understand that, one, yoga and mindfulness, they don't bring no demon out of you, and it has nothing to do with religious beliefs. It has everything to do with your inner and outer well-being. But the ones who don't want to, learn about it, they're really judgmental. So disappointment is not the end. There's hope even in the darkest of nights. Luckily, we're not in darkness just yet, but there are those who support not learning things. So let's not, forget how important school is and education. For those of us who are open-minded, though. because some people, they actually think that you don't need to learn. Oh, and also though, open-eared. When I meet adaptive children, the ones who are trying to prove they're right, in my classes, they use a lot of our time for things that have nothing to do with what we're learning. So it's like if I need to learn how to make a bike and you interrupt every now and then with something that has nothing to do with how we're going to be able to build a bike. So how do we heal trauma usually, or how does trauma get healed and stuff like that? But I digress, and we have half time left. So when self-empowered women meet any person, we will know how to handle Cusco's, and that will be with acceptance, respect, and love, because I'm not in your body. And even before being attachment trauma informed, I knew, thank you, Jesus, how to forgive and how beautiful every person is just the way they are, and how laws are in place for a lot of other things. And when I see people trending, I think of teenager land. And then I think of how awesome we have a platform where I can share 2 cents about how awful it is to see women projecting their unfinished business out into the world about men also projecting their unfinished business, and any of those professionals who also are projecting their unfinished business. Because as long as somebody says humans are limited and that the polyamory community overestimates the usage of your brain, I'm going to be offended, quote unquote. I mean, really, you can't offend me. I know that you're possible because I'm possible and I'm not a genius. So the fact that I have restorative embodiment and integration of brain, that I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, Sadhguru shares it. Anybody can get there. Anybody can get to what Buddha was or Jesus. He doesn't know the psych education. That's all I do. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. So integration of brain in a machine shows that my default mode network is down regulated. I'm not scanning you. Because myself in here, Maria self, my 3-year-old, is like, ooh, I get to share the floor with somebody. Which is why if I instinctively were asked the whole bear thing, I said a man. The minute they said, I don't want a bear, I want a man. And then when they went ahead and said, well, what about a killer bear and a killer man? I'm like, okay, why are we doing action movies that aren't existing? Actually, it's a horror movie. But now you're making me think, I think that I can maybe use my mouth to work something out. The bear, if the bear wants to attack me, I'm done. Do you not see how small I am? So this is where I didn't actually instinctively just randomly give an answer based on gender stereotypes and a lot of other things. So yes, do we have an imbalance? We have an imbalance on many things. I see Elsa's all over the place, 4D mystics. Okay, so today we're integrating channeled guidance, if you haven't noticed, and I want to read to you this one because it's really beautiful. The messages of the energy. Some of you were a little bit with some stuff closing out. Okay, the eagle comes from the east, the place of the rising sun of new beginnings. She soars high in the sky, sees the smallest detail with clarity, without losing track of the bigger picture, and nests in the high mountains. For eagle, there are no obstacles, only opportunities. Like the inner growth mindset, you get to use your left and right to work with emotional awareness, accountability, and self-regulation. And then to be a mature adult, which has a lot of fun and a lot of love. We know passion. We know how to send, acquire perspective, and that way you fly wing to wing with great spirit. Spirit is the relational field around us, and you can use source and universe. I use Akash because that's what I do as an Akashic record reader for one, and to try and respect the monotheistic religions that I grew up with. But essentially, it's still God to me. And the essence of the tree, the tree of life, is a sacred symbol throughout the Americas. Its deep roots reach into the lower world, the unconscious, while its branches reach to the heavens, the source of destiny. To be whole in your life's journey, it is important to have deep roots and high branches. You can't have that if you don't do the inner work. A tall tree with shallow roots falls in the first winds, but a tree with deep roots can weather any storm. And finally, the beloved. Let's see if we have enough time. The beloved is the recognition of spirit in another and moving towards spirit through the other. It is when the divine appears to us in the form of our child, our partner, our friend, and we experience being in love. As we grow, we start to recognize the beloved in everyone, not confusing their personality with their divine nature. So the personality, maladaptive children, we can work with them. Secure attachment, come on over. Relationships are how we can heal trauma. 5D relationships, and 5D is Christ consciousness. It's integration of brain, using a prefrontal cortex, using our inner child, letting it come out to play, and that's called self-empowerment. Tune in for more, and remember, if you overflow with humanity, divinity has to descend. Thank you so much, Sadhguru. Have a wonderful day, and let's be human and spirit all in one.